tell me that my teeth look pretty?
Your teeth look pretty.
Thanks. Make sure that's on.
Welcome to episode 6. It's called Randy's Pretty Teeth and Jimmy's Yellow Teeth.
Don't make this more than it is. I literally just got out of the dentist chair a few minutes ago. That's all. I promise. It's a dentist joke. That's it.
I think today, because we're kind of clueless on what we're going to talk about, we're just going to do a Q&A back and forth random, and we'll see where this goes.
We're going to try to keep on like guitar-related things.
Yeah, but we can't promise anything.
No, this could get weird.
This could get ugly.
Could get weird really quick. So I may have talked about some of this on some of these episodes. So that's fine. But I'll ask you: was guitar your first instrument? Sort
of, but not really. So like my dad, I got slightly obsessed with the fact that my dad played guitar when I was a kid because I would draw pictures and stuff. But he had this acoustic guitar that was really super crazy high action and really hard to play. Like it hurt to play it. So, and it was this Yamaha. I've got one just like it that's been kind of broken down and fixed and made playable, but it's kind of this Martin style. And I could get like a few notes out of it, a few chords, cowboy chords out of it, play like a G on it maybe, but that's about as far as I got. So I would get discouraged real quick. Yeah. When I was maybe, I don't know, like 8 or something like that. But then like when I got into middle school, they forced us to take band. Like you had to do these rotations where you do like a few weeks of home ec and a few weeks of chorus and then a few weeks of band. And I hit this rotation where I was in band and so I started playing saxophone, which I had to fight for because I wanted to play drums, but my parents wouldn't let me play drums because I was going to be too noisy. And they only took like 1 or 2 people on the drum part anyway. Right. But, and the band director was like, no, you're going to play, trumpet or trombone because your mouth's not shaped right for saxophone. I'm like, screw you. I'm going to play saxophone. He's like, you're not going to be able to play saxophone. Your mouth's not shaped right for saxophone. I'm like, you're out of your goddamn mind. So, yeah.
I'm so sorry.
No.
Oh my God, dude.
It's legitimate laughter. I thought it was absurd when I didn't even understand the connotations that you're going for. I get it. You're not wrong. I mean, he made us stick our tongues out and do all kinds of shit just to see like how our mouths are shaped.
Have you Googled this guy to see if his rap sheet is on the internet now?
Yeah.
Wow.
He was actually a really, really good. He's really, really crucial to my music kind of basis because he got me into jazz. He was a great drummer.
Cool.
He played trumpet and all kinds of stuff. Really cool guy, but that was hilarious. But I was obstinate and just went home and said, no, I'm playing saxophone. We rented a saxophone and I played it for 3 days solid until my lips were bleeding. Came in.
That's that unshaped mouth you got.
Yeah, it was that. It was because my mouth was shaped wrong, of course.
I swear I'm trying.
No.
Oh my God.
This is fine. I laugh all you want, man. Laugh it up. Laugh it up, boy.
You wait till the next recording.
You wait until this gets turned around on you. But so I went in that Monday and we were supposed to play through just like try to make it through a scale. And I just like sailed through it all. I mean, like I had aptitude immediately.
Yeah.
And I was like super depressed before that. I had gone through like, it's probably one of like the whole like whatever crap I have, mood swing crap I have hit me first.
Right.
I was in a 30-day, 60-day trench of
we're talking what, 7th, 8th grade?
We're talking 12 years old. Yeah.
Okay.
Sixth grade.
Yeah.
6th grade.
Oh, okay.
So this was 6th grade. I think I was 12. And man, I was super depressed, probably suicidal, kind of like. And music, man, it was like purpose in life immediately from that moment on. So long story short, saxophone, weird mouth. Yeah. Yeah.
God dang it, dude. Okay.
But now out of that though, like
so
he got me into jazz and all this other stuff, and I did end up kind of finagling my way into playing guitar in the jazz band in like 7th grade or something like that. But it was like
okay.
a couple of chords. It was like, and I
Okay.
was turned down so low nobody could hear me, and the band was so loud. It was like, placate me.
Okay.
So yeah, I started moving into the guitar at that point, and then after that, then I sort of took off on guitar. But
Yeah.
yeah.
So one follow-up question.
Really?
Did this teacher, was he in the Scouts?
I assume so.
Okay. Okay.
I assume he was a
We're gonna leave. Okay.
Weebelos.
You got the wrong shaped mouth for that. So anyway, I'm done with this. I promise you that I'm going to try really hard.
But it was. I will say my favorite part of that whole story, though, from my perspective, was, and you're going to make something out of this too.
Okay.
Just seeing his jaw drop when I came in and played that shit. His jaw dropped, Randy. I'm telling you. But honestly, though, that was like, I honestly think that was the seed of a lot of this fuck you attitude I have.
Yeah.
Of
yeah.
like I'll show you. And then doing it, like going on stage and like fucking blowing people's minds.
Right.
And seeing that reaction.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of like,
still
there. I'm still like, oh yeah, motherfucker,
right.
You watch.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about your mouth shape?
Randy,
who was the first person that told you that your mouth was shaped odd?
Wow. Actually, this kind of weirdly ties in. This is kind of strange.
Of course it does.
The first person all right, let's get into my band thing first.
Uh-huh.
So no, guitar was not my first instrument either. Mine was drums because my parents didn't care if I made noise.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, and I played drums in middle school. And my fuck you situation was I played snare drum, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was the drum, concert band snare drum.
Yeah.
And we were learning all this music, and I never knew how to read music. So I would like wing it, and then the band director would go, "No, it's not digga digga dot dot, it's digga digga dot dot," and I'd go, "Okay, digga digga dot dot," and he'd
memorize
go, "That's it, perfect." And so I was like these, I was very, very good at doing that kind of stuff and doing all these rolls and flams, and I learned all that stuff in 6th, 7th grade. So, but yeah, he was trying to tell me that I couldn't do it, and then I'd be like, "Just tell me how the part goes."
Yeah.
And then I'd play it, and he'd go, "Perfect." And then he'd go, "Are you reading?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure I am." Shut up.
Dude, I did the same thing. Well, it's like I could read the music, but I couldn't sight read.
Right.
Worth a crap.
No,
and I didn't realize I was slightly dyslexic, so that's probably part of it. But to this day, I can't like straight up read anything.
Yeah.
But I can I can figure it out if you give me time with it. But if I hear it, I'll just play it.
Right.
So when I go is like, oh, well, how is it supposed to go? I would do the same thing and cheat.
Right.
So like to the point where if I was in an obstinate mood, man, I would take the sheet music and just throw it on the floor and play perfectly. Just to kind of like show like, fuck you, I can do this without anything.
Yeah. So the weird mouth, the first person that told me I had a weird mouth was a girl that I was making out with in front of the band room at 7th grade.
And she wasn't wrong.
Whatever. We won't get into that.
How did she know you had a weird mouth? How many mouths had she seen?
I don't know. But no, so drums was my first instrument. But like you, my dad played guitar.
Yeah.
He had, there was always 2 guitars laying around the house. There was his Crown, and there was his Suzuki 3, which is the Japanese Martin copy. Up until 13, 14, I was playing drums, and I would pick up a guitar and strum chords here and there and that kind of stuff. My dad would teach me, okay, this is an E, this is an A, this is, that kind of stuff. Even like I played in a band called the Tiftones with my dad. It was a 50s rockabilly band. I played drums. We had 2 drummers.
Rockabilly or skiffle?
It was probably more like skiffle, to tell you the truth, because it was acoustic guitar, and it was a saxophone player,
That's totally
My
Scott.
dad playing guitar, and then 2 drummers. Me
You
and
and
a
Jimmy
friend of
Page,
mine.
man. You and Jimmy Page.
Right. So yeah, I did that kind of junk. And then, I guess probably around 15, I started really kind of taking it seriously and figuring out that I could sing a little bit, and that, it's kind of hard singing and
Oh,
playing
so you
drums.
started singing and playing
A
pretty
little
early on.
bit.
See,
Yeah.
I did not. It took me a long time to get the courage to sing
Yeah.
and play. Like once I did it, I took off with it. But it was like fell to you, guy. You're the only one willing to even try. That was
Right.
like why I became a singer.
But it was kind of weird because we would be like singing like chord names. Like I wouldn't know what this chord was, so I'd call it like funny G, and then we would sing, and we would do like, playing Poison tunes and singing like Every Rose Has a Thorn. Be like, right, funny G to a C, and that kind of crap is how I would literally be singing. And then I realized that if I called this chick up at night and like sang her a Cinderella song, and that kind of junk. So
see, aren't you glad social media didn't exist for us?
oh my God, dude.
Because like I just think of the embarrassing shit
Oh Jesus!
that
Even
I
up,
did at age like 12 or 14 or whatever like that.
I'm a little concerned about that, but I'm more concerned about mid-20s to mid-30s. The shit that I was doing.
Yeah.
Thank God. Now I'm
It's
very
true.
sad that I can't find, like, there's bands that I was in for years. There's nothing.
Dude, yeah, I know.
But I'm also glad that there's not a video of me running around naked down the middle of the street because somebody just bet me $20. You know what I mean? So
right.
there's that, because I'd probably be on some kind of list next to a dude who's like, I just asked a guy if he had just told a guy his mouth was shaped weird.
You'd have to go and announce yourself to all the neighbors if that were the case.
No, you'd have to go to the armory on Halloween. That's what you say. So you look like the type who would be in an armory at the Halloween. Yeah.
Wow.
There's that.
So I have a good one.
Okay.
What were the posters that hung up in your room when you were a kid?
Oh, wow. This is great. So Ricky Rocket. I had a poster of Ricky
Nice.
Rocket.
Nice, Ricky Rocket.
I had a drum set in my room at the time, and it was a blue sparkle, like Slingerland or Gretsch, like their little cheap.
So you were very drummer focused.
Yeah, extremely. Yeah. And the funny thing is, I didn't know it, but directly across the street from me were the Pace family. And if you're listening, hey, y'all. And the Pace girls were freaking hotter than hell. And I used to stare and be like, look at them. I had no idea that their dad built and repaired vintage drum sets for like the whole time I lived there. Still does to this day.
Oh yeah.
Like, yeah, it's hilarious. But so anyway, so I had Ricky Rocket. I definitely had some Van Halen.
Yeah.
So I lived in a house at the time that was built in 1838.
Nice.
And my room was upstairs and to the right of the staircase as you walked up. And we were outside working on the house one time, and the guy from the neighborhood who happened to own the bank, his family grew up in this house.
Yeah.
He said, who lives in that room? And pointed to my room. And I was like, oh, that's me. He goes, my brother blew his brains out when the train drove by. So there was all these spots all over, and it was freaking blood, dude. So I also had.
So wait a minute. First off, why was the train relevant?
I guess because
blew his brains out when the train. That was a very specific.
nobody heard it.
Okay.
I guess I don't know, but yeah, he drove.
He like
train tracks
with
were
the
right. I guess maybe they had that worked out, right? But there was all these, and I kept noticing these stains. Now we're talking about like old Victorian looking wallpaper and like several layers. And I would notice like when it rained, there would be these little spots and all. And I'm like, what the hell? And at that point, I'm like, Dad, I'm ripping that crap. So I would be in there with like a knife, like scraping crap off. I'm going, what the hell? So yeah, so I had posters everywhere covering these things up. But yeah, definitely would be a Van Halen. Definitely be a Ricky Rocket.
Any ghost?
No.
Okay.
You mean like the band
Not
Ghost?
the band Ghost. No, I mean, did you like the dude that blew his brains out?
Did I see any? No, okay. I don't.
Just saying.
I don't know, man. That house was creepy. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Any 1800s house is creepy.
Right.
Yeah.
So anyway,
I love them.
So yeah, what else? I would have had an Alex Van Halen because again, I was a drummer and Alex Van Halen, as much as I love Van Halen, I also loved Van Halen for Alex Van Halen as well, because he was a freaking phenomenal
He
drummer.
honestly doesn't get as much credit as he
does
should. He
not.
did back in our day, but
Yeah,
now he
right.
doesn't. Like everybody's like bottom, and rightfully so. But
like Eddie, he had a swing that a lot of guys didn't
teacher
have.
intro, man, is like the craziest drum part.
Back in those days when we first heard it, was like, what the hell is that? Now, yeah, there's 14-year-old or 10-year-old kids that can play it all over YouTube now.
But they don't
But
really
can
get
they
the swing
really?
right.
Right.
It's
That's
still
the thing. Again, right.
He had just,
right. But yeah, so I know I had that. Oh, ZZ Top. I know I had. So when I was a kid, I sat in the ZZ Top Eliminator.
Oh, you did? Oh, okay.
Yeah, there was 3 built.
I thought you were going to say you were the president of the ZZ Top fan club or something.
No, but my dad worked at the Macon Coliseum. He managed the Macon Coliseum. So like my family went and saw Prince on the Purple Rain tour, like free because of that. And
solid.
Like all that kind of stuff. I had a World of Wheels jacket.
You got to see Revolution era Prince. That's
I didn't. My brother.
Oh, you didn't go?
No, I couldn't. I wasn't. I was like 5, dude. Like
I guess you would have. Yeah, I guess that was.
So and my dad was literally.
No. That was 6th grade for us. I know for a fact that was 6th grade for us.
All right,
why didn't you go see Prince?
I wasn't allowed. My sisters and my brother went.
I mean, Darling Nikki.
And when he came out on the stage for Darling Nikki on the bed, my dad ran around the Coliseum trying to find my sisters and my brother to get them the hell out of there. And they hid. So I didn't get that, but what I did get was the ZZ Top Eliminator. I sat in the very first Bigfoot, that kind of crap. So I know I had the ZZ Top Eliminator poster because I thought it was super cool that I sat in that car.
Yeah.
So that would probably be the ones.
So mine were pretty much exclusively guitarist.
Yeah.
Like it's funny, like I was super guitar obsessed, guitar player, like hairband guitar player obsessed.
Yeah, me too.
So I went through rotations of like whoever my favorite guitarist was at the time. I suspect it. So I know for a fact one of the ones that lasted the longest was probably like George Lynch.
Mm-hmm.
Probably a shirtless, like who knows what my parents thought. Probably a shirtless picture of George Lynch with the with the Bones guitar.
The Bones guitar, yeah.
Totally.
I probably had that one too at some point, I'm sure.
Yeah, a lot of shirtless dudes like with frizzed hair. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means. But I had Adrian Vandenberg,
right?
Which I got into from Whitesnake, but then like went backwards to what was he in? What was the band he was in? Shit, I'm forgetting. Swedish band. I think he had his own solo albums too. Like
he had Vandenberg.
Vandenberg. Maybe it was just Vandenberg. I thought he was with somebody else too. But anyway, Adrian Vandenberg I had up for a long time. Definitely Steve Vai. Mm-hmm. There's a point where I got like super into Steve Vai.
Yeah.
I think I had a Joe Satriani Surfing with the Alien poster.
I had that one. Yeah.
Yep. I had that poster up for a while. Definitely had an Eddie Van Halen that stayed up all the time. And yeah, I don't know. That's probably like Nuno Betancourt. Mm-hmm. And then probably as I was getting out of the poster phase, probably the last one would have been no, Nuno Betancourt probably would have been the last one. But who's the guy from that was like him, that was from White Lion? What was that guy's name?
I was waiting for you to say this. His name sounds like the most Italian meal you've ever heard in your life.
What is it?
Vito Bratta.
Vito Bratta.
My wife will take the veal and I'll have the Vito Bratta.
Poor Vito Bratta. Do you know his story?
No. Please tell me more about
Vito
Bratta.
See, I don't know his story well enough to tell it. We'll have to save that for another episode.
Okay.
But he had just like basically, I think it was some disease he got or something. Oh. And like basically after remember when they did Radar Love, that record?
Yeah.
They had that kind of hit with the cover of Radar Love.
Yeah.
After that, he no longer could play guitar.
Oh, crap.
And he just, it's a horrible story.
So
because he was well on his way.
Right. Dude was a great player.
To being, Nuno Betancourt where he is now, he probably would be up there. And, it's so funny, like, I don't listen to any of this shit anymore. Maybe Van Halen. But, like, none of this has any impact on me. I tried to listen to Dokken. The first couple of records are okay.
My dreams. Yeah, right.
Nah, once you get into that era. Even back then, I was like, nah, that's a bridge too far. Dream Warriors was a bridge too far. But I have a hard time listening to that stuff now.
Yeah.
But
I
anyway,
definitely went through the whole like I was a 80s cheese rock from hell. Like, I mean, you had to be. If you're in rock and roll, you had to be at the time. And like for me, it was like Poison. I couldn't play Van Halen. Like, how the hell am I gonna? I don't know how to play this shit.
you could play Poison,
but I had that book. I still to this day, I'm pretty sure I still have the Poison. Look what the cat dragged in tablature book that I got from my buddy Bill.
I had that too.
I got that from my friend Bill because Bill was a year older than me, and he had an Ibanez, a yellow Ibanez with pink pickups, and a PV Bandit.
Like a gem?
Yeah, like a
gem. He had a gem.
Man,
I always wanted a gem.
Yeah. Yeah. So Bill was like the dude, like, oh my God, look at this. And I'm, so I borrowed that and like, wait a minute, I can play this and, on and on and on. Friggin' Steelheart, all those bands. Oh my God.
So do you remember Lillian Axe?
Yes. Yes.
We're getting into deep hair metal at this point.
Yes. Yeah. My 30s drunk trick was getting shit-faced drunk. Well, up into probably mid 40s, actually, early 40s. Getting shit-faced drunk.
Yesterday.
Well, we'll try it now. Getting shit-faced drunk and then singing Angel Eyes.
Oh, Lord.
Like at the top of my lungs.
God, I haven't.
At a bar. Like anybody who's ever seen me at Mahuffer's Sloppy John's in freaking outside of Tampa in Indian Rocks Beach, which is the greatest dive bar of all times, by the way. I have sung that song to the top of my lungs where I'm 3 times louder than the jukebox, and I nailed that shit.
So who were some of the other bands of that era, like Slaughter?
Slaughter. So Cinderella was the band that I thought was a much better band than they
Cinderella
were given credit
was
for.
I think we've talked about this before, but Cinderella was an excellent band that was caught up in the hair metal need to look that way, but not. They were really more of a rock band. They were more of a straight up, kind of like Tesla.
Yeah, Tesla was the same way. And even Kiss got into the hair metal thing where they took the makeup on and were trying to look pretty. And I'm like, dude.
Of course. What was his name? What was the guitarist?
Vinnie Vincent.
Vinnie Vincent.
He had that double V. It was 2 V guitars in one. And he, by the way, is well known for speeding up all of his recordings, tuning way down, playing, and then doubling up the speed of all his recordings to make it sound like he was playing super fast.
Who's the guitarist I sent you the other day that had the 4-neck guitar? I forget his name now, but that was always like, I always got him confused with Vinnie Vincent. And
Badio, Michelangelo Badio.
Yes.
That
guy I remember him too. That was crazy. And he was legitimate though.
Okay. Here's the next question for you. Did you ever have, or do you remember, Doug Marks Metal Method guitar videos?
Oh, yeah.
I had that too. Yeah. He played Carvins. He played Carvins.
Tapes.
Yeah. I think I still have one.
Wow.
I learned some of my solo techniques from that. Like he had that, like the bend and tap.
Really terrible teased hair with like the long in the back.
Right. And you got the little tablature book that came with it, and then the tab went across the screen. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I learned how to play Ain't Talking About Love from him.
Yeah.
From one of his videos.
Yeah. He had like a videotape series. I remember that.
Yep.
And then I got the Surfing with the Alien video.
I didn't get that.
I was like,
but I was obsessed with, I found out that Satriani taught Steve Vai, and that's what got me into
And
Satriani.
Buckethead, by the way.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, so Satriani really knows who Buckethead is.
And Buckethead was like 14. Like he was like Buckethead was a kid. It wasn't Buckhead. He was
He was just who knows because we don't know.
He was just really quiet.
Brian
like smart
something.
Kid.
I think is
Brian something. Yeah.
So anyway, all right. Let's see what else.
Ugly Kid Joe.
Ugly Kid Joe. I hate everything about you. Girl School.
I don't remember Girl School.
They had one song called Girl. Oh no, I tell you the song though. I tell you the band. Autograph.
Oh yeah, yeah. Autograph was legit though. Autograph was
Easily the ugliest
yeah.
lead singer of all times.
Well, I don't know, except
Oh yeah, Balls to the Wall.
Balls to the Walls was the funniest video ever made at the time.
I'm going to find it for you. 3 or 4 years ago, I was walking around and I was in like one of those little like bargain bin stores.
Yeah.
I found 6 VHS copies of Accept. It has 4 different versions of the Balls to the Wall video, and then it has like actual.
You mean? Oh, whoa! Stop right there. Wait a minute. You're telling me that there were 4 versions of that video, and the one that was on MTV was the best version of Balls to the Walls.
It's like different countries' versions or something. It's like a bunch.
I mean,
of
are they
versions.
totally different versions? Though?
No, I don't think
you
so.
Seen? Okay.
I don't remember
it's
exactly.
Just subtle edits.
I just remember laughing a lot.
Oh, dude, that like so.
You got them.
God. So me and my buddy, this guy I used to hang out with back then named Stuart, like we were Beavis and Butthead.
Yeah,
Before
sure.
Beavis and
Right.
Butthead. When Beavis and Butthead came out, we were like,
Son
wait
of
a
a bitch.
minute.
Right.
You ripped us off.
It's like Jackass with me and all my friends
and
years
you know,
later.
of course,
Yeah.
everybody
Right.
was like sitting with their
Right.
friend making fun of MTV all night, and we'd watch 120 minutes and start making fun of that stuff. But we'd watch Headbangers Ball every freaking time it came on, and they always at midnight played Balls to the Wall.
But this has
Or Wasp. It was one of the other.
yeah, Wasp. But no, this Accept video or VHS or maybe a DVD. I don't remember, some kind of video. I remember getting it a few years ago, and I gave some of them out as Christmas gifts. But I think I may still have one. So if so, you know what you might be getting for Christmas. But
awesome.
It had like, it was almost like a documentary about the band.
Oh sure.
And then it had
you got to document that.
Yes, Little General.
Okay.
That was his name, Little General. And he was like 60.
Yes.
Here's another very funny thing about that is that Griffin, Georgia, I think, hold on. Nope, I almost did the wrong band. Do you remember the band Halloween?
Oh, not only do I remember the band Halloween, my mentor recorded Halloween, produced their big album.
Really?
Donald Jones, yes.
Okay, so
he got that sound.
So one of their guitar players is from Griffin, Georgia.
Not surprised.
Like they're from like Finland or
I think the reason
something
they were here.
Right.
They were here for a while.
Okay.
Yeah, they lived.
I didn't realize that. Well, yeah, one of their guitar players and a guy from
it may
Griffin,
have been because he was from Griffin that got connected with Donald.
Who knows?
I don't know. Yeah, he produced one of their records. Yeah.
Yep. Halloween.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
What was your first gig?
So our first gig, which probably, I'm sure this was probably your first gig too, if you were in Atlanta. Was your first gig in Atlanta or Macon?
We'll say Atlanta. Yeah.
Well, mine was the Rec Room.
That was just before my time.
Was it really?
Yep.
Well, the Rec Room was still going when you were here, wasn't it?
Like,
okay.
I
can tell you my first 2 gigs.
Okay.
They're right down the street from each other.
Mm-hmm.
The Rec Room, which was this, like, it was the starter club for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
It was awful. Like, nobody good ever played the Rec Room. Ever. Okay, maybe I'm wrong. Are you going to tell me I'm wrong?
The Ramones played the Rec Room, and the Sex Pistols played the Rec Room.
Okay, well, then that was way before my time.
Right.
At the time that we were playing, in 91, nobody good played the Rec Room.
Am I telling a story? It was the Rec Room they played, right?
Nah, I think they would have played like the Metroplex and the
Metroplex. I'm so sorry. I got those two confused.
No. Metroplex, way cooler.
I apologize.
Metroplex was a place that I was terrified to go when I was a kid.
Because
it was
way
just,
too cool.
It was too punk. It was just, I was going to get
my mouth was shaped wrong.
Yeah, my mouth was shaped wrong. But no, there's another club, this famous punk club in Atlanta. That it's a number, and I'm forgetting it.
The 513.
513.
Which was my first gig.
That was your first gig. Holy crap, dude. How is it still open? It wouldn't have been open.
Yeah, no, the 513 most certainly was open when I moved here. The Metroplex had been shut down.
You're talking about the same club that the Sex Pistols
Edgewood
played.
Avenue. No, that's the Metroplex.
No. I don't think so. Well, maybe I'm
Yeah,
wrong.
yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
I'm wrong.
It's the
Maybe I'm
Metroplex.
wrong.
The
Okay.
513 was at 513 Edgewood Avenue,
Okay. Yeah, I guess you're
right
right.
across the street from a Mercedes-Benz repair
Yeah.
place. Yeah. I was afraid to play full gigs. I was afraid to really be in a band. I
Yeah.
was in Valdosta from 92 to 96, or not from, but from about 94 to 96, I was in Valdosta.
Mm-hmm.
I was hanging around my friend Ben that I've mentioned a million times. It's really funny how much Ben really has to do with where I am now, because he
Yeah.
really was a major influence. Ben was a great writer. He lived in Atlanta for a long time. He was in bands called like Adam's House Cat and stuff like this. He was playing gigs in Atlanta off of Edgewood and all that years before I ever thought about it. So like when I got here, I was like, well, I don't know, man. I should try to get in a band. I don't know if I'm good enough. Blah, blah, blah. And my friends were like, I was hanging out with them, all the guys at the pawn shop, and they're like, can you play a bass? And I'm like, sure. I'd never played a bass a day
If
in
you
my
give
life.
me one, because I don't have one.
Right. So they had the rig and everything
Yeah.
there, and we were practicing in a room that was basically a closet,
Yeah.
and it was Big Fist and the Fuck You Ups. It was the first gig I ever did.
So you played that there, huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
And
That's a
that
good
was-
gig. See, that's a good first gig. Our first gig was not that great.
Yeah. It was the 513.
Hmm.
Yeah.
What year was that?
Probably 97.
Oh, that's late. Okay. That was your
Yeah.
first gig?
Yeah, dude. I didn't start gigging till then. I wasn't.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this would have been probably 91, 92. Like
Right.
somewhere between 91, 92. So we played the Rec Room, and it was one of those like bringer, kind of like you were supposed to sell tickets. Bullshit, like pay to
Right.
play kind of things
Right.
almost,
Did tons of those.
The second one I played was right down the street from that, which we thought we felt like it's kind of moving up because we don't have to do the bullshit ticket thing with Rec Room. PJ's Nest. You ever remember PJ's Nest?
I've heard of it, but I never played there.
So it was like a Georgia Tech thing,
Right.
a little dive bar. Literally, literally, you're playing in a tiny little window.
Uh-huh.
Like the band could barely fit in there. And their PA was so bad that like it wasn't grounded. And I had like the whole night, me singing and playing guitar, had
Hitting
arcs
you,
hitting
right.
my lips. My lips were bleeding from the electricity by the
Yeah.
end of the night. I was so pissed off. But, it was actually a pretty good show. And we were
Yeah.
punk rock. So, I mean, that kind of stuff was cool.
So is it just me, or do you still remember walking up to an SM58 and just smelling the disease on that freaking thing? Like
Oh, yeah.
it was punched in and it was rusty, and you're like, there's no way in hell. And I know that I just got hepatitis.
Oh,
it
absolutely.
smelled like hepatitis.
What's crazy is that I've hardly ever gotten sick from playing shows.
Right.
Like that. I can't. I mean, I've played so many shows where the guy like before us was just slobbering into the mic,
dude.
and
Yeah.
I didn't even think to wipe it down.
Right.
Like, it never was a thought until COVID, really.
Right.
After COVID, I've been like a little like, okay,
I
I'm
bring
bringing my own mic. Yeah.
Like
But-
nobody ever thought I'm bringing my own mic.
No, that
Like,
would have been. You would have been. Just
Yeah.
ridiculed.
And then the
by
whole
the
thing of,
sound man, even
like the first time I ever remember hearing myself in monitors, I'm like, what is this?
Oh yeah.
Like that's why I still can't do in-ears right now.
Oh,
Like,
well,
because-
dude, I'm telling you, we're running into that now. I mean, like we just got
right.
the most ridiculous PA system in our little practice space, not like a little smaller than this room we're in, and we have it's 4,000 watts per channel, and it's like a 15, a 12, and a horn, like 4,000 watts each. And you barely turn it up, and it's going to run you out of the room loud.
Yeah.
And you hear everything with such crystal clear precision that I've had to like change how I sing. So
Right.
I'm so used to playing through PAs you can barely even hear
Sure.
out of in house parties and stuff
Uh-huh.
like that. That I always noticed, like when I went and played like the Earl or somewhere nice, like I'd throw my voice would be going out by the third song, and I'd be like, oh shit, am I gonna make it through the show? And I didn't understand why.
Right.
It's this weird thing, like when you can hear yourself clearly,
You try to distort yourself.
you try to distort your voice, and
right.
it actually hurts your voice. Yeah,
Right.
so I've had to learn better mic. It's made me like
Yeah.
the PA has made me a better like performer live now. It's crazy because I'm like, oh, I just have to back off the mic a little bit, and I can scream a little bit more.
Mhm.
And when I in the heavy
Yeah.
sections, and then when it's
There's-
quieter, I can come up to the mic and just sing normal, and it
Because I played in probably
Really weird.
10 years or more, or 15 years probably, where there was none of that. First thing is, it was all just whatever.
playing into
You'd
it,
be-
singing into an amp, like you have a PV amp.
Like
or
we
something.
had a PV. So I lived in a house with like 6 dudes. Also, it was like a rotating cast of just ridiculousness.
Yeah.
For a while, I lived in the basement, and we bought this house because we got evicted out of my house. And then we were going to make a practice space, and we realized there's this room right here behind this wall. So we had a dig party where people came and dug, and then and then we paid a crackhead $100 to pour a concrete floor.
Yeah, you've written lyrics about this.
Yeah, exactly. I've read so
Crackhead concrete.
yeah, sleeping on crackhead concrete. But anyway, that's like we had a PVPA head that was like not the early 70s, but the mid 70s with the blue and gray colored knobs. Remember that one?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
It only had one screw holding the whole front on of the head. So it would flop around. Probably played 300 shows with this thing. Like,
you actually use the PA for like house shows or something.
yeah, we would use it for but that's what we practiced with too. And like
Yeah.
just random crap that we had from the pawn shop or whatever. We might be playing through, like my buddy Chad, it was his house technically. He might be playing through like a 61 Les Paul that we got at the pawn shop.
Right.
And like at the time, Mesa and all that fancy. But we had like the crappiest PA and
Always.
stuff.
Like
Because whatever, it's just vocals.
The vocals were always the
Right,
least.
yeah.
Like we never
Right.
had anything good until a few years ago.
Yeah. For that matter, a lot of times we didn't even have anything written. Like I was in a band for 6 years before I even knew what the vocal part I was supposed to be singing was.
Yeah. Well,
You know?
I mean, like to this day, my drummer doesn't know what I'm singing until the album's recorded. He doesn't care. Like,
Right.
Like, Kip is just like, I don't know. Like I'll say it's after I sing this line. He's like, I don't listen to that. Like, I don't listen to your damn vocals.
When you count to 167.
I'm like,
right.
Jesus Christ, I spend like months crafting these lyrics.
And he's like, you mean after I hit the crash twice or
Yeah.
before I hit the crash once?
Yeah,
You're like,
yeah.
how am I supposed to?
No
Right.
clue. No
Right.
clue. But yeah, no, like I don't know that I had lyrics to half of our set back in the 90s because no matter
Right.
how good a club you played, nobody's fucking hearing it.
So I was in a band for a while called it was Self-Motivational Speaker, but before that it was Slip Cable, and it was again a revolving band. So
big step up on the band name, by the way.
Right. So my friend Vinny, who passed away, they asked Vinny on like Thursday, "Hey dude, will you be our vocalist for this like, hardcore band or whatever?"
Oh, easy.
So there was, right, exactly.
Yeah.
So there was a show at Somber Reptile.
Oh,
It's recorded, and they had one song we called, I think it was called Fix All, because we would literally practice in this, my buddy's, the drummer at the time's dad's shed, and we would write a tune and we'd look over whatever we saw, we would name it. So I think, if I remember right, this song's name was Fix All, but I could be mixing it up because it was like Fix All spray paint right there.
yeah.
So Vinny's turn to do vocals on this now all of a sudden, because it was just the same songs with different vocalists. So Vinny gets up and he literally is yelling, "Big man, got big shoes, live in a big house." Like that was all of his vocals. He was just making them up on the show, just making them up on the fly.
Yeah.
And like that was our, that was like life for like 20 something years, or probably 15 years of just playing these shitty gigs and loving every bit of it, playing in 6 different bands and just not making a dime.
Yeah, that's the Atlanta way, man. Playing
Dude,
6
yeah,
bands.
if you've been around Atlanta long enough, if you've been anybody who's listening,
you played
to this,
nearly every instrument, and
you've been
played in at least 3 bands at the same time.
Yes, and you either know somebody who practiced at
Black
the
Box.
Black Box, and you know the whole deal of the Black Box.
Or the Cheshire. Remember the place at Cheshire Bridge?
I never practiced there. It was
Boy,
either
that place was
Black Box or Griffin for me.
That place was a rat hole, but that was our first practice space.
Yeah.
We moved up to Black Box. That was a big deal.
Well, for me, moving to Black Box was a huge deal, because literally in Griffin, there was a band called Blue Druids that started pretty much all of it in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And the Haars, unfortunately, they're both passed away, but Mr. and Mrs. Haar were the greatest people ever.
Horror?
Haar, Harr.
Oh, I was like,
And
man, that's a name.
Mr. Haar was a Delta airline pilot, and Miss Haar was a fucking angel. And her son played drums in Blue Druids.
Okay.
And they let us use this room. And when I say a room, like if we built a wall where I'm at to the window,
That's it.
that's it. And there was like 6 of us in this room.
Yeah.
Well, literally, it's probably smaller than that. It's, I would say, twice to maybe 2.5 times the size of your
Little
bathroom here.
So you could barely fit a drum kit in there.
Yeah, no, it was like amp, drum kit, and we were standing like this, like
Jesus
practicing.
Christ.
And they never complained. They always let us there.
Knew where you were. That's one.
And they were good freaking, and that we would always have parties at their house where I would end up naked jumping in their pool, some random shit, throwing firecrackers at teenage kids that showed up, like that kind of crap.
That's
But if it
fun.
wasn't for them, I probably would still be like, I don't know, man.
Well, I
Like,
think I got you beat on the badness of the practice space, though. So
okay.
before we did the black, actually, what moved us to do Cheshire Bridge first was we first. I was in a band that was practicing in Marietta and had like, this was a pretty cool situation. It was a dentist office that was abandoned. So we were literally like, they still had dentist chairs and stuff in there. So we figured out somebody, like, because they were trying to find a tenant, and they were like, well, we'll let you guys practice in here and you could just kick us $100 or whatever a month or whatever it was. So we had that going, but at the same time, I wanted to learn how to play drums. So it was like backwards from what you did. Like I wanted to learn drums second. And so we started this band called Monkey Boy with my buddy Sean, who I mentioned that I still play with. And he wanted to learn guitar. So he was learning guitar and I was going to learn drums. And I was like, cool, we're going to get us a little shed, like a storage shed in Mableton where we lived. And we're going to get your buddy to come play bass, and we're all going to learn together and in this little shed. No AC whatsoever. It's like literally a metal, storage space. And I'm practicing drums every day for 3 hours in the middle of summer in this storage space with like a fan. And because we were worried about bugging people and getting complaints, I'd have to close the door. And I passed out 3 times in that damn place. Like the fact that I survived that freaking facility is just a nightmare. It was a nightmare.
I had several of my friends who, do you remember South Lake Mall area?
Yeah.
Okay. Behind the South Lake Mall, there was this, it was back in these days, 97, 98, it was crappy then.
Yeah.
And it was a storage warehouse, like you store it kind of place.
Yep. That's what this was.
And we had 6 or 7 bands that played there. Clocked In was one.
I know Clocked In.
Okay. So Clocked In was one of them. We practiced right across from Clocked In.
The bass player for Clocked In worked at the music at Atina's when I was teaching lessons there.
Okay. And
he hated the Beatles. I remember that. And
my drummer at the time worked at Disco Round.
Okay.
So see, everybody's connected.
Yeah.
It was like the South
and like
Side
how we
thing
never met until a few years
right.
ago. I don't know.
But anyway, we practiced there in these places, and there was, I know the drummer for Clocked In lived in the place for a while.
That's hilarious.
My friend Josh, who sung in the band, lived in these places for a while. We got booted out of there. I was looking for a place to play, and I literally at one time, if you went through Lovejoy. And you got almost, or let me make sure I'm thinking, no. Yeah, you went through Hampton and you got almost to Lovejoy. There was this old, and it's still there, this old gas station. And they had a U-Haul trailer that rolled up and down. I practiced there 3 times.
Jesus.
We would have to haul our gear
into the trailer.
They would run us an extension cord and we would practice. I would practice there 3 times. Yeah, stupid crap, man.
Stupid stuff. Never do this.
Yeah, right.
Kids,
Don't
rent an unair conditioned practice space.
But nowadays, like they can play in their own house and literally video conference or whatever. I mean, look at all the different ways.
No, you can't do the. We tried to do the video conference.
Yeah, I couldn't do it. Talking to somebody the other day, and I was talking about like my amp. I'm finally gonna set my half stack up, and I made a music room so I can show guitars and that kind of stuff. And I was like, dude, there's something about having that half stack. I get it. I
Oh
know,
yeah,
but
moves air. That's what it is. It moves air.
when it tingles you, I'm telling you, you can feel it on the sack. You can feel that. You can feel when that air hits the sack just right. You know
Yeah.
you've made it.
I don't see how anybody can pick up any fine instrument, guitar instrument, and sit in a plugged into their computer and go, yeah, this is a great sounding guitar. Like, there's just not any way to do that. Like, I can't do it. And I've been producing records for 30 years. Like,
Yeah.
I can't plug in and go, yeah, I can really tell what this guitar is really great. I mean, it can feel great and it can like play cleanly and stuff like that. But when you get in and you crank up and you're playing with drummer and a bass player and other guitarists maybe or whatever, man, like it's night and day. Nothing sounds like Alice.
Yeah.
Nothing
Sweet.
sounds like Alice. Alice is like every time I put it on, I go, God, should I just only play this guitar for the rest? Like, it's one of those things. It's like it cuts. You could feel it. It's like you said, it's tingling.
Right.
It's a sensation that I don't think a lot of people that play ampless or whatever, I don't think they've had that experience, or else they would be missing it. You know.
Right.
You know, I can understand, like we talked before about Mastodon and groups like that, like just for consistency's sake,
Sure.
and you're using the air monitors anyway, and you're not really going to feel the amp from way back there and all that. Like all that stuff makes total sense to me. But, you know, if you're playing in a band and you've never like had a 50 watt or higher amp, like you just need to do it just to experience, like rent something or borrow something and just spend a weekend with your friends.
Yeah.
Playing at volume, put some earplugs in. Don't be stupid because it gets, you know, it's loud.
But I had a tinnitus fit today with my ears because I haven't played in 2 or 3 years. You know, it's been, but yeah. And if you've not, and also just to be a curmudgeon, if you've never had to haul this gear.
Oh, that's the worst excuse in the world when like these like old dudes are always like, well, I just don't like carrying the amp that heavy anymore. I'm like, screw you. Yeah. Like if we could fit, we have done shows where we take, for the bass, we take the full SVT and then 2 orange 15s stacked on top of each other, bi-amp that, and then I'm taking 2 amps. I've got a Magnatone in that soft deck with 2 separate cabinets. And then our other guitarist has got the Plexi Marshall half stack. Yeah. And we walk in, like we did this in Athens like a few weeks ago. We walked in and the guy looked terrified. He's like, that's just going to be too much in here. I'm like, no, it's not, man. Just chill out. Like, we know what we're doing here. We've been doing this for a long time. Yeah. And we set it all up. And I'm like, you're not going to have to mic anything but the drums. Just mic the drums and put 2 vocal mics up. Like your job is going to be really easy. Yeah. And he's like, well, I like to have control and I don't like it to be too loud, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, you're going to be fine, man. It's the first time I've had this happen in 3 years. It always happens occasionally with shitty sound guys, but this guy's a good sound guy. Right. No knocking this guy. He just had there's so few young bands doing this. He hadn't had this experience. And we set it up and he goes, God damn. Mm-hmm. It's like, that just sounds, I haven't really done anything except pull the kick and the snare up and the vocals, and it sounds great. I'm like, yeah.
So that's the whole point.
That's the point. Right. We know how to manage our own, we bring our own sound. Yeah. You know,
so again, if you've never had to haul shit back and forth, and if you've never,
I mean, my back sucks, but
sure.
So what?
But it's part of the freaking gig. It's part of the deal, dude. Yeah. Like, pay your freaking dues for God's sakes.
I mean, how old is Mike Watt now? And he still hauls his own damn gear.
Right. Pay your dues, man. Carry the shit up the stairs. Yeah. If you've never carried an 810 cabinet up the damn stairs of the Dark Horse, I don't want to hear shit from you. Like,
worse than that, I carried an 810 cabinet on my back up the stairs of Smith's Old Bar.
That's what I'm talking about. I said the Dark Horse, but it's Smith's Old Bar is what I was trying to say.
I carried a damn 8x10. Yeah. I don't know how I did it.
I don't know how you did it either. It's the reason why your
mouth is
amazing.
I didn't dive in either. Jesus Christ. But yeah, that's probably one of my back screwed.
Masquerade, you thought it was the greatest because it had the elevator.
The elevator.
You're like, dude, this is amazing. Right.
So we got to play the Masquerade. We had that band that I was talking about that I started playing drums in just to learn drums. So we did that in that shed. We were in that shed. It seemed like forever, but it's probably 2 months. I don't think we paid more than 2 months rent there. And then the drummer from my other band that I was playing at the time said, just announced, I'm going to be your singer. Like, we didn't have a choice. And like, all of us were like, what?
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I'm just going to be your singer. And we're like, all right. Kind of like begrudgingly and then immediately it was fucking awesome.
Right.
And then he goes, I'm going to learn how to play guitar. And we're like, okay. And he picked up guitar and like within 3 weeks was playing guitar with us. So within 3 months, we went from that shed to being a 4-piece band and playing Somber Reptile for the first time. Kike freaked out for some reason because we were just bonehead and stupid and he thought we sounded like Circle Jerks or something.
Right.
And one of our shticks was he played guitar sometimes, but we had this bugle of mine that I got from my grandfather from World War II. He had a bugle. And he would just, see, now it's clicking. You've seen us. You saw us.
I have.
Monkey Boy. I know that we probably
think we played a show together.
We must have played a show together because that's why that band sounds familiar.
513 or Somber Reptile.
It was Somber Reptile. It was we played Somber Reptile every other week.
Yeah.
Like I don't think I could ever play a club and still make up the number of shows that I played Somber Reptile at. But yeah, so yeah, Monkey Boy, bugle, terrible. Just total noise. Like it was influenced by the Cows and at the time. But so we played that show. The guy booking the Masquerade said, hey, you guys want to play a show at the Masquerade? And we're like, in hell? Or in purgatory? He's like, no. Like up in heaven. Opening up. I'm like, well, yeah. Like, when is it? He's like, it's like, in a month. It was the Digits and Peg Boy. And we opened for the Digits and Peg Boy at fucking 3 or 4 months into playing. Like, I was terrified. Like, I barely knew how to play drums. And I'm on fucking in heaven at the Masquerade and the place is packed. Well, we've gone on for a while. So.
Yes, we've rambled about Atlanta. Anybody who is listening to this who is an Atlanta native.
If you're still with us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
In Atlanta. Yeah. And anybody that's an Atlanta native, shoot us a comment on here on our YouTube or what's the
remind us what we got wrong.
Yeah, tell us about some of the clubs we probably forgot about, for God's sakes.
No, we didn't even talk about. Later we'll have to talk about the Point and stuff like that.
Yeah, the Point.
So we'll talk about the Point in another episode.
That's where I met. The Point is where I met Christina Aguilera.
Did you really?
Yeah.
All right. Well, if you want to ask Randy about his Christina Aguilera stories and
I can tell you.
You can get him at kingelectricguitars@gmail.com.
Yep.
Or kingelectricguitars.com.
Or
fill out the form.
Yeah.
Or any of the social medias.
Except X. Tina.
I'm Jimmy Ether on pretty much everything. You can reach me at jimmyether.com or Ryan at info@jimmyether.com or whatever. I don't know.
What's our website?
Oh yeah, we have a website, fretfuldreams.com, and email is fretfuldreams@headphonetreats.com. On the Headphone Treats Podcast Network. And this has been episode 6. Yeah.
Yeah. 6 or 7.
6.
Okay. Maybe it is 6.
Definitely 6.
Definitely.
We did 3 today.
Definitely Wapner. Definitely
yep.
Wapner.
Yep.
You say your brother's autistic. Can he draw? Remember that part of that movie?
Jesus. All right.
Good times.
All right. Later.
See ya.
Fretful Dreams is part of the Headphone Treats podcasting network.